Okay, we got Mr. Teddy here. This is his first time with us. Yeah, look at you. You're so cute. So he's got some substantial tangles. Substantial. His whole ear. Pretty much all of his body. It's pretty much all the same. We're going to make him beautiful and feel better. Ain't that right, Teddy? Huh? Oh, we got a little dog here. His name is Teddy. He was quite tangled up, and we're going to make him feel much better. So I'm going to go in starting with the 5 and see what I can manage out of that, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to drop down to the 7. That's right. Okay, that must be sweet. He's happy with it. He's so happy. Let's put this one on, because I have to have your head fixed up. His ear is connected to his neck, so it's kind of hard to find where it lets go. Okay, you might have to drop down to his head. I was trying not to. If he would pick his head up a little bit more and work with me, I think that he could have probably done a 7. But at the same time, he's really, just pretty much as bit worse as it gets, so, yeah. Does that feel funny? I'm only going to do the one side of his ear at a time to try and prevent some of the hematomas that are likely to happen once all of that tangle was removed. I hope it doesn't happen, but just in case. We're going to get that face uncovered good. Yeah. Almost gotten this side of your neck done. Go away. And I just saw a flea under here. So I'll give you a flea bath today. We're getting warm. When you do dogs like this, you're going to have to switch your blade back and forth a bunch because it's just going to continue to get hot and hot and hot. I just received a text message I sent to the client ahead of him requesting additional time on his dog because this one came in and it really needed to be shaved first, and so I'm going to see what he said. Ooh, look at all that. Look at all that. Only hanging there about a little bit, so this is his ear, most of it. Pretty crazy. Yep, pretty crazy. How do you feel? I'm already feeling some blood flow. Thank you to that customer. They said that this was totally fine to do what I needed to do. I'll part down the middle. I wanted to make this whole thing if I could. Take this off for a minute. We gotta get all these out. Yeah. Good Lord. Put these one back. Now that that part's all cleared out. I'm gonna have to take and part this. Here we go. Here we go. Feel that weight coming off your finger. Boy, you're gonna start scratching yourself real bad. This area on his back is already pretty red. He's been itching. It's like I feel the fleas. The flea dirt is serious on his back. Couldn't have held anything on his face. See, now his back is not, as bad as the rest of his body because it's all coming apart. It was still matted, but not as bad. Oh, I'm sorry, Pam. Let me get it off. Another huge section. That feels so good for him. Especially this section right here because it's so heavy. That's pulling on the skin real bad. Woo, this one's heavy. Almost a pound, maybe. We'll weigh it up later. I might weigh all of it. When you pull the skin like this, it's not hurting him, it's just making it to where the skin pulls where you need it to. And also gives you an easier cut, and you're less likely to actually cut the dog's skin that way. Just manipulating it. Definitely gonna put these legs in the sonic cleaner tonight. He's got a little bit of a urine odor toward his rear end, and that's unfortunately inevitable because of the amount of hair. I doubt that he was able to do a complete stream of urine that did not get impeded by hair. Not from what I'm seeing from his penis now. His bum, it's also pretty bad. However, I will say that it's surprisingly clean. And a lot of groomers will understand what I mean by that, because usually that section is just so tangled up that the poop just collects real bad, but his is not terrible at all. He is intact. So I have to make special allowances for his family jewels. there's a trick with legs that I'm going to share when we really start working on them. There are some companies like PetSmart. I'm not sure Petco's stance on it now or not, but PetSmart has changed it to where dogs that are as matted as he is, they would not groom him, they would refer him out to a veterinarian office. However, there are still some times that dogs come in that in some stores, businesses, whatnot, you have rules and regulations on the type of tool you're allowed to use. So you're not allowed to go under a 10 on the body at PetSmart. And so sometimes you'll get dogs that are really matted like this and it's really hard to get through the leg. You'll start to go down and it just gets clumped up and clustered. So what you do is you feel for the leg, the side of the leg that has less resistance, which is going to be right here. Over here is pretty solid. So you're going to take your link that you're going to be using and you're going to go down that entire side where it allows you to go all the way down. You're okay, man. Yeah, you're okay. Some dogs are sensitive to their legs being bothered. He might be one of those. This is our first groom together, so I'm not really sure how he reacts for his leg grooming on a normal day, and since he's matted, is not as fun. So anyhow, I'm going to continue going down all the way to the furthest point. Okay, now that we're there, take and go sideways. If you go straight down, when you get to those matted sections, sometimes the blade can't reach underneath it. So what you have to do is go sideways because the pattern of the coat is changed, and sometimes you can go up underneath with a longer blade that you would not normally be able to use. But since we're already at the 10 all over, I'm just going to go ahead and continue the 10 and not try to show you with the 7 that the likelihood I could probably get that off with the 7. So yeah, side. You see how it's all going away, how solid this is. Prepare myself just in case, so I'm trying to have a little bit of a way stance so that if he does change his mind about what I'm doing, I'm safe. At least my face is. As you see, going to the side, it's a lot easier to get out. Then there's another method I might be able to show. So let's pretend, let me change my blade because this one's warm. Keep tripping over your hair. Okay, so pretend this leg is not capable of finding one specific side to go all the way down. What you're going to do is you're going to turn your blade to the side. And you're going to let it eat and eat and eat all the way down. Obviously, you know what you're doing. You know where the joints and whatnot are at. So once you've got that path, you can then go in sideways. And it's the same what I mentioned before. You might be able to use a longer have to go automatically to the lowest level. When they sit down and there's other things that you can work on, go ahead and let them have that little small victory, because after all, he's going through a whole lot right now, so whatever makes him happy. And then later, when there's nothing left to do, I'm going to have to make sure that he stays standing. Always check your temperature as often as you can. But you see how much more simpler it is, instead of having to go all the way down the leg, sucking all the way around it to the very end, and then you have to worry about that cluster at the end of the leg. See, that's so easy. It's easy. It's easy stuff. This is super hot again. My poor tendons. Here, this up a little bit. Sometimes ivers get really stuck to the skin. If you use a 40 carefully, you can get up underneath it. Or alternatively, you can just wait until in the tub and re-moisturizing it. Oftentimes that's the better decision. But when it can come off with the 40, I'm going to just do it real quick. So he is a poodle, but any dog that I ever have to shave a face, or any face, grooming for that matter, I always leave the hair right here until at the very end of the groom, because then you have a handle that you can hold the face safely, manipulate side to side. Some dogs don't care for this method used, but every dog's different. So, all right, we got to do your back legs. Stand it. Good boy. Good boy. You're okay now. I know. Gotta find it. The skin is super loose back here, so he's a little bit more sensitive. do a little across the leg. Oh, goodness. It's a little warm today. Oh, honey, I know. I gotta do your balls. That was on one side. Here's the other side. Still gotta do all this. You know, I know, you don't want to do it no more, huh? Okay, I'm done. We're almost free. We're almost there. Right. I'm trying not to lift his leg too high, but he's kind of like, I'm lifting my leg anyway. This is already warm again. We got a lot of mat on the inside of that leg to get out. Oh, goodness. There's so much. It's all creaky stuff, huh? Alright, we gotta get this tail and a little bit of stuff off of your toes still. So the tail is similar to the legs. Just go down one side. The whole thing, because what will happen is just like the legs, it gets built up at the very, very bottom, at the tip of the tail. And you know they're already really sensitive to that. They already are sensitive to the tip of the tail as it is. Sometimes them sitting down is okay. Just depends. Almost there. Go this side if you just helps me get. There we go. There you go. There you go, bud. Good job. And this is his tail. Get some more of this off. Oh, see, you gotta be careful. I think that I'm gonna do is paw pads and then he's gonna be ready for his bath. almost always going to be giant mats inside of these paw pads. That was inside of his foot. His nails are surprisingly short, so he does get his nails trimmed at least. Alright, so next time you see him, he'll be washed and he will be ready for his finish room. Basically just going over everything, making sure I got every single little twist in his hair anywhere on his body. So, good boy. You did so good. Yes, you did. You did such a good job, bud. Alright, we are back after the bath, and we're all ready to finish the groom. Now, sometimes what can happen is when you're grooming a dog like this and you have to go super low on, after you're done with the bath and blowing, the hair kind of puffs up and shows you that there's actually hair still remaining on the body, even if you did a 10 prior. So sometimes what you can do is you can follow up with a longer length. And that's what I'm going to try to do with him now, is I'm going to follow up with the number 7. If the number 7 looks nice all over, I'll leave it that way, or I could probably have to go back down to the 10 and finish him off. So. This part we started off with the 5, so there was quite a bit more hair that was remaining up here that could be trimmed away with the number 7. So far I don't feel hematomas. I thought that I felt some starting at the end of his ear, but so far so good. I'm going to still run the 10 on the inner ear. We still got one little tangle on this ear. It's not a big deal. It didn't change anything. I was able to wash him just fine. Now, the inner ear is a thing for me that a long time ago, I used to believe wholeheartedly that cleaning out the ear totally, all the hair and everything, was the best for the dog. But as I've grown and learned with experience and time, I found that removing all that inner ear hair sometimes causes more problems than what it's worth. So there are exceptions to the rules whenever I do the inner ear cleaning. I don't want to pluck the ear, but the only time I will pluck the ear is if it's matted inside. There's a second video on my channel. I shouldn't say second video. There's another video on my channel of a dog named Finnegan that I had trimmed out, plucked out his inner ear hair, and I was forced to do so because it was matted. I had to turn the comment section off on that video because even with me saying those words inside of the video, people were still giving me hate for it, and I understand. But in that moment, I had to do what I had to do. So I'm checking his ears now. They're dirty and nasty, but they do not need to be plucked. Thank God. So what I like to do is I like to pull it all forward, manipulate it so that it gets straight inside of the ear canal, and then I shave it flush to the ear opening. That should help prevent issues. It should, the ear should breathe still fairly well. And this way, if he was to come in on a more frequent basis, the ear canal would always always be straight. It would not get nasty like this. We're gonna just let him lay down because he wants to. He's already bed for enough. For now, that is, I should say. Because he will eventually have to stand. But for now, he's fine. He does have one spot of itchy on his back right here. It's super red because of him already scratching at himself. I mentioned that on the pre-trim about him having the redness. I took a couple of photos of it. We'll have you a big old break in a minute. We'll have you a break soon. I do everything one-on-one, so they're generally done straight through 100%. And if they're an older dog and require it, I will allow for breaks. But for the most part, they don't need them. At least the dogs that I've seen. Recently, I had another client come in with their dogs to be groomed, and I had done this simple task of just holding the dog right here. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have found like a large mass. And so now they're going to be checking with the vet to make sure it's not anything specific. And the owner was upset because she had just went into the vets recently for routine care, I suppose, and they didn't notice it, and I tried to explain. I said these are some of the things that sometimes they don't know. They don't feel it. If they don't feel it, then they can't do anything about it. So it was like they just probably didn't put their hand there, so they didn't feel it to know. Right now I'm on the 7 blade that I'm having it switch out because it's getting warm. Frustrating when you have their leg in a certain position that's both good for you and them, and then they turn their body the way he's turning it, so that now it makes the leg look awkward. It looks ill-handled, and that's just because of the way he decided he needed to position his body in that moment. Quiet protest? Probably. I don't know if you can see it from the camera view, but there's this joint that tendons and stuff that run right here, and so there's this pocket of hair that gets to remain. So you have to make sure you manipulate this little section so that that hair pops out and you can trim it and you don't have that weird hair sticking out. up so that you will trim it instead of gliding across it. 1 or 2 back brushes for any one section at a time should be sufficient. Anything more than that, you're wasting time. If there's still a hair sticking up, just go ahead and get your scissors and just trim it that way. We're going to hit these armpits again, and then we're going to hit the sanitary again. If you're thinking to yourself, you've already done those things, why are you having to go across them again? It's because the rough-in that I did prior to his back was not intended to remove every single piece of hair. It was to get as much of the hair gone as I can. So then when it comes to bathing and drying, you have less work. It's all going to go anyway. Why wash it? And I understand some people are going to be screaming, but your blade, you're ruining your blade. Who cares? Buy more. Not that big of a deal. Buy more, have your sharpener come out more often. Have blades specifically set up for pre-shave purposes, because you're going to be wasting so much time and effort to wash a dog that's so terribly matted that the odds of the soap ever getting down to the skin is likely to none. And then you have the secondary concern of remaining residual shampoo and product left behind once you're finished with the actual bath. So you're going to sit there and wash all those mats. You're going to get all that soap stuck up underneath that. And you're going to end up having skin conditions because of it. Sometimes it's easier to reach through and across to the other leg than sitting there and pulling it up and trying to get it all out on the one side. Again to make sure I got it all out. Just like before, the hair will come alive and you'll find it. Do the paw pads, then trim the nails, then trim the hair around the toes. Toes. So, reach in and get it done. You can use a 10 if you want. Sometimes I feel like using a 10 takes too long. Just depends. And he's already kind of silly about his feet to be held to begin with, so let's just do the scissor. Stop. You're gonna get cut. That would be my luck. Everything has went totally fine this whole visit, and you're gonna act up for this? Silly. Silly boy. You gotta stop. You hear me? Yeah, sit. Thank you. Now this is the finishing work that gets your grooms looking nice. Is coming back and scissoring all these little sticky outies and stuff like that. It looks finished. It looks solid, one cohesive unit. Alright, so we finished all of his body except for his face and his ears. So I've already cut the ears inside out. I need to clean those ears. So what I like to do is take and get your cotton ball or cotton round, put the chemical on it, your ear cleaner, and then hold between your hand like this for a few seconds, and it makes it the same temperature as your body. So when you're going into that ear canal, you're not going in with a stark, cold, disturbing sensation, and that's something that they don't like, and it prevents them from getting their ears done properly a lot of the time because it's too cold. It's too cold. And you see how more by reaching down in, so I'm going to get the tin, clean that up again. Back to the segment. And we're going to make your face and we'll finish that, buddy. I'm going to run across just to liven up the little hairs. And so that they'll want to get cut. Trick whenever you're doing a clean face on a poodle or any breed. What'll happen is sometimes you've got these areas that don't want to trim, so what you have to do is, because of the lips curling like that, you have to take and put your finger in, manipulate that lip back so that you can trim it flat. Now, usually they don't have a hard time with this, but I don't know his history or how he's been groomed elsewhere. So we just have to make do with what we can. And it won't look so weird or awful when you do it on a dog that likes it to be done. It doesn't fuss too much. I know. Oh, yeah. Hey. See, this is what I'm talking about as far as this hold. Some dogs don't like it. Some dogs only want you to do the chin. And now that I've removed the chin, I don't have anything to hold. Alright, for your safety, use straights for this purpose, but I sometimes use curves because I've been doing it for a long time. I know what I'm doing. If you need to, you can hold your fingers to the very edge of the ear and follow it around to make sure that you don't scissor accidentally where you're not supposed to. But I've been doing this for so long, it's not really something I necessarily have to do every time, so it just depends. It's each dog is a different situation where you might need to do that on some, but not all. One little spot just refuses. And by going across the entire ear, it makes it look even, so it's nice. So, do the same thing on this side. One thing you should always be sure you don't do, and to me this is something that doesn't matter how many years you've been grooming, you shouldn't do this, but you shouldn't go in this manner, because that could go bad. Always do it from this way or this way, never this way. So that's basically all she wrote for him. I'm going to take his picture and call his owner. Okay. Say goodbye, Teddy.